oranges have a virus, I can tell you for free. I'm orange and a COVID.
No, that's not. No, so COVID is a human causing a virus. You do find plant viruses, and sometimes you wouldn't be able to see symptoms on the fruit or even on the tree. So because the tree would look as healthy as possible, but it's only when you dig deeper, like a tree next to that might look sick, or a tree like rose further down in an orchard might.
Welcome to Let's Talk Science once more. My name is Thulile Kanyile and I am your host. And today, as in other cases, we're connecting you, the people, to the science. So I host different people, different scientists, engineers, technologists in my home, and we have casual chats about exactly what they're doing and what they're spending your tax money on. And today, I have the pleasure of hosting newly graduated Dr. Khumbuzile Bophela, and I want to know from her, how does it feel to be called a doctor?
It takes some adjusting to being called doc. Yeah, since I've been in this for like forever. So yeah, I'm just getting used to people calling me doc, and my students as well calling me doc. Yeah, but yeah, it feels surreal.
Oh, how many students do you have?
I have 3 students that I'm co-supervising officially, and then I mentor the students in my research program.
Okay, are those PhDs or masters?
Master's students.
Oh, fantastic! Congratulations on the PhD.
Thank you.
And also congratulations on the students.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
Really, it's a lot of work.
I hope I do them justice though.
No, you will, obviously. Yeah. You're Dr. Bophela.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming to my home.
Thank you for inviting me.
I hope you feel welcome.
I'm more than welcome.
And I hope we're gonna enjoy our wine.
You too.
And I think it's so awesome that we're drinking wine and we're drinking fermented grapes, because what we're talking about today is fruits.
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
Today the episode is Let's Talk Fruits. And I think that's going to be very exciting for our viewers, because an apple a day apparently keeps the doctor away. Sure. And we've graduated to avocados a day, and we've graduated to all sorts of other fruits a day.
Citrus.
So tell us about fruits.
So at the moment I'm currently working on citrus, but for my PhD I worked on plums. So fruits, as far as it goes, I study the organisms that would infect the tree and causes the tree to express symptoms, and those symptoms are the keys that let us know what could really be the organism that is causing the disease that we're seeing on the tree.
Do we know, as regular people, have we experienced the symptoms? Do we know what they look like?
So as a child, I was playing around in our yard, and we had peach trees. So I was always fascinated by the gum that oozes out of the trees.
That's true.
So I often wondered, what is this gum and what is causing the oozing of the gum. So only when I started doing my PhD did I realize that no, it's actually a bacteria that I was working on that causes some of those symptoms. But you do find fungus that causes exactly the same kind of symptom, which is gum oozing out of the tree. Yeah.
So let's move back a little bit. So these are symptoms. So as in, it's like the fruits are diseased.
Yes.
Or the trees themselves are diseased.
So it can be the tree, but it can also be the fruit.
All right.
So on the fruit, let me use citrus as an example. So on citrus, sometimes when you go to your local markets, you'll find that the citrus that you're buying has spots on it, like black spots. So that could be an organism that has caused those black spots. So it could be a fungi, it could also be a bacteria. It's only when you start now isolating, so it's extracting that particular diseased part of the fruit, and you culturing it, plating it on growth media that we use specifically to grow organisms, that you would be able to now identify using your eyes, like morphologically, and also doing some molecular work.
Don't worry, guys, I've got you.
Yes.
Don't worry, I've got you. Let's move back a little bit.
Okay.
So the causes of diseases,
Yes.
it could be, for example, a bacterium.
Yes.
Or it could be a fungus.
Yes.
Or it could be a virus.
Yes.
Or and for the person that's watching that thinks, when you say to someone, oranges have a virus, I can tell you for free. I'm an orange and a COVID.
No, that's not. No, so COVID is a human causing a virus. You do find plant viruses, and sometimes you wouldn't be able to see symptoms on the fruit or even on the tree. So we call the tree would look as healthy as possible, but it's only when you dig deeper, like a tree next to that might look sick, or a tree rose further down in an orchard might look sick.
Okay.
So that's when we start deducing as to what's killing the tree, but it's not COVID. We do have plant viruses.
So there's plant viruses, there's bacteria, there's fungi.
There's also pests. So
Okay.
we have ring nematodes, but we also have insects that would cause.
What's the common name for ring nematodes?
It is ring nematodes. It's just nematodes. Okay. So
it's like
microscope.
Yes. Can you see them?
You can't see them with your naked eyes. Only when you look under the microscope would you now see nematodes. So it's nematodes, yeah.
So okay, so I think people generally are very familiar with microscopes. We use microscopes to sort of see the kind of things we can't see with the naked eye.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you're saying that, for example, let's use the citrus. What business are you guys looking for there in those citrus? Citrus is oranges, nachis, lemons,
your mandarins, I think we call them, I know the cultivar name now. Grapefruits, so it's grapefruits, yeah.
Okay.
So what business are we doing there? So basically I'm working with the nurseries. So I'm looking for any sources of contamination within a nursery. It's where we grow the plants. So when you see the tree as a fully adult, I'll call it like a fully grown tree, that's the adult stage, but they start off as tiny seedlings. So they start off as a seed. So whatever so if you open an orange, you find those tiny seeds in there. So that seed, you plant it out, and then it emerges into a seedling.
Okay.
So nursery specifically deals with the growth of the citrus at its very young stage.
That's where we buy them. So if I wanted to have my own oranges, I'd go to a nursery.
You go to a nursery.
Ah,
yes.
Okay, all right.
So those nurseries are regulated, so they need to make sure that whatever material that they sell to the growers or to the consumer, private citizen, needs to be disease-free.
Aha.
Yeah. So my job at the moment is to look at potential sources of contamination, so that could result in one of the organisms that we spoke about infecting those tiny seedlings, because at that stage they're still vulnerable.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so they are susceptible to any kind of infection.
So should there be any form of contaminant in the little seed? You're calling it a seedling?
Yeah,
right?
I call it a seedling.
So it's a seedling, so it's like a little plant.
It's a little plant,
It's a plant. So there's no oranges, no. You just
Nothing.
you put the seeds. Do you have to look at, are the seeds looked at before they get to the nursery?
Yes, they are. There is a company that there is a certified seed company that provides nurseries with those seeds.
Oh,
so they also need to. So that's the first check. They also need to make sure that the seeds that they provide the nurseries are disease free.
Ah, I see.
Yes, and then the nurseries.
Okay, by way of value chaining.
Yes.
There's a person who has the seeds.
Yes.
Then that person does whatever their regulatory checks are.
Yeah.
Then they need to take it to the nursery. Then the nursery grows the little seedling. Then the little seedling is then bought by Thuli or a commercial or a private farmer.
Yes.
And then they grow it, and then it becomes big.
And then it becomes, yes.
So the issue now is at the point where the nurseries are growing it,
yeah,
you then need to make an assessment of whether or not when the tree is big, these oranges are going to be a-okay.
Yes. So that's my job.
Yes. Okay. That's really interesting. And then what are you guys finding there? Is there a specific organism that you guys are looking at?
At the moment, I can't really say because, you know, I don't want to spook any of the nurseries. IP, but not, it's actually the nurseries that I'm more concerned about, because I still need to visit some of those nurseries. So I can't really say what exactly we're looking for, but at the moment we're just looking at whatever organism we could find there. Then I report that to the funding agency that's giving us money to do the research.
So here's the little seedling. What are you taking to the lab?
So I'm taking to the lab potting media, so the media that they use to grow the seedling. So it's like, it's granulated, so it's mixed with soil, but it's also...
Do you have pictures of this stuff?
I do. I can send it to you, but I don't have pictures right now, but I can
send us the pictures. So
yes, you can so
I'm guessing you guys can see what she's talking about now.
So we grow it in they grow it in those potting media, and then those media are supplemented with nutrients so that the seedling can grow. Much like an infant would need nutrients to grow into a fully fledged adult, same thing with a seedling. It needs nutrients, it needs to be watered, it needs to be nurtured, and the environment in which it grows in needs to be conducive for its growth.
So all of the oranges that we're buying and all of each one of them, that's how it started.
That's how it started. It started as a seed and then grows into a little tiny tree, and then when it reaches, I think it's 30 centimeters or even like a meter, then they sell it to the growers.
That's hectic. So the seedlings are not grown in the ground?
They're not grown in the ground, no.
Oh, hectic. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, at that point, I don't think they would survive the natural environment. You know, because we can't control the temperature, you can't control the rain or, you know, irrigation, things like that.
So when we are garnishing our drinks there at that other place that we like to go to, and we are putting their grapefruits in our drinks there, we can rest assured that they've gone through the checks and the boundaries.
One would hope.
We can drink it.
One would hope that's what happened. So I use faith. At that point, if it's being served for me to consume, I just think, yeah, no, it has gone through all the checks and balances, and it's good to be consumed by.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is really interesting. And the story with the plums, what were you guys doing there?
So with the plums, what happened was the plum growers started noticing that the plum trees in their orchards were dying, but they didn't know what was killing them. So they just, you know, they call it sudden death, but we believe that it was a progressive event that led to eventual death of the plums. So they noticed like it was a random distribution of dead trees in the orchard. So it wasn't like a row or two rows. So it would be like in this row, one tree is dead. In another row, two trees are dead. And these trees are not necessarily next to one another. So they didn't know.
So they can't be infecting each other.
They can't be infected. Yeah. So it wasn't something like that. So they honestly didn't know what was going on. So the project came about in that way. So I was tasked with collecting soil samples. So I collected soil samples, but I also went into the orchards to rate the trees that I collected the soil samples from to assess its health. Whether or not the tree looks healthy, do I notice any symptoms on the tree, like physical symptoms, and so have a scoring matrix just to assess what was happening with the tree. So
I'm assuming that this work is submitted, it's published?
Yes, we have one publication from that work.
Fantastic. So we can talk about the findings. Yes. So what did you find?
You know, it was like opening Pandora's box.
Okay.
So the more I dug deeper into the project, the more I realized that we're only, you know, scratching the surface. So I found that the organism that I talked about earlier that causes the gum that oozes out of a peach tree.
What is it called? Gamosis?
It's called gamosis. So that gamosis is caused by Pseudomonas syringae, so it's a bacterium.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's so it's really I'm trying to think of a way of simplifying the explanation regarding the organism, because it's just not one I wouldn't call it one like individual, so it's multiple individuals within that family, so within that bacterial group that caused those symptoms that we saw. But that's just one part, so I only look at the bacterial aspect of it.
So in other words, this Pseudomonas, as soon as I hear Pseudomonas, I think aeruginosa. Yes!
That's like people think, but that causes cystic. I think it causes cystic
fibrosis. Yeah. Because I'm a medic, I would immediately think aeruginosa. But you're saying that, okay, fine. This is the Pseudomonas.
Yes, Pseudomonas syringae,
and it's a family of bacteria, and then beneath it there's like related species of Pseudomonas.
So Pseudomonas syringae is a species, but we call it a species complex.
Okay.
So meaning that
there's a lot of them.
Yes, there's a lot of those strains which fall within that bacterial group.
And
so I was trying
related.
they're all related. So I was trying to find a way to explain that.
Okay.
It wasn't just one particular individual or strain that causes that. It's a number of them that cause from the same bacterial group. That's
very interesting. So are the other different, what are you calling them? Are you calling them subspecies, or?
We're calling them, so we now classifying them as pathogens, mainly because they cause disease on tree hosts.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and we can only separate them like, using DNA genomically, but not necessarily phenotypically. Like when you look at the characteristics of both strains, you would think they're the same, but it's only when you now delve deeper into the genomic side of things that you will notice that there's some distinction between the two.
I see. So at a genetic level, we're looking at this is a particular organism. It could even be a human being, and a human being has their own sort of